What's up, everybody? We are about 2 weeks now into Season 4 of Warzone Pacific and Vanguard. Last week, I put out my top 10 overall loadout video. I'll link that down below. Today, we're going to go ahead and go over just the overall top 10 long-range options, just in case everything in the loadout video didn't really fit what you're looking for, as we usually do every season. Unlike this reloaded update from Season 3, where I just went over loadouts, because we're in a new season, I'll go loadouts, and then I'll go stats, and kind of more reasoning into why I chose these guns, and rank them the way I did. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into the 5 best LMGs and 5 best ARs, and then I'll jump over to sim.gg and kind of go over the stats for those that are interested. So let's get right into it. Okay, and at number 5, we have the PKM. This LMG has been kind of in the meta like its entire time. I don't always use it, but I really don't use it at all, but I can't deny that it's been in the meta. It is a meta LMG as far as LMGs go. If you want to extend this list to 5, there's really only 2 that fit into the meta completely. That's my top 2 on here. But ones that will work in the meta and have good enough time to kill, PKM has fit since like day 1, and it continues to be within the top tier viable and meta areas of loadouts. And it's the same. It's always been. It's monolithic suppressor, extended barrel, tac laser, VLK with the T-pose, and snatch grip. You could drop the tac laser for one of the bigger mags, but I'd recommend just sticking with the tac laser because you need a faster ADS, especially with it being a mono warfare weapon. Number 4 is the Fin. The Fin, actually, I think it still has the longest, or one of the longest, or shortest, sorry, has one of the shortest time to kill at long range, and the only reason it's only at 4 is because you get that from its very fast fire rate on these adverse barrels, but it runs out of ammo. If you could run more attachments like you can with Vanguard guns, or if it had more ammo, it would probably be 1 or 2 on this list. But because the ammo, because the only 5 attachments, and it is a mono warfare gun, so it's got slower movement, slower ADS than the other 2 games, it does get stuck at 4. And it's the same. It's always been the monolithic suppressor, the long shot adverse barrel. There's other adverse barrels that do increase the fire rate, but like the Harrier hurts bullet velocity, recoil control, and damage range. The Pro Twist hurts recoil control, and the Factory hurts recoil control and damage range. You do have to use an adverse barrel for the fire rate, and you're going to want to use the one that helps the damage range and the bullet velocity at least. And there's like no recoil on the Fin, so it's not really a big deal. Tac laser, VLK optic with T-pose, and the good old Commando foregrip. And ignore all the primaries, but the secondaries, by the way. I didn't like remake the loadouts completely. Number 3 is the MG82, another gun that has one of the shortest times to kill at range, but it has more recoil than any of the Vanguard options on this list, period, and more recoil than the PKM and the Fin. Despite it having enough ammo to be higher on this list and a faster time to kill than the next 2 guns, and it just ends up being number 3 because it's got more recoil and you can't do 10 attachments. And it's the same build that you'd expect in Cold War: Agent Suppressor, Task Force Barrel, Axial Arms 3 times, and Field Agent grip. And then the last attachment's kind of up to you. You could do the 125, but it comes with 75, I believe, just normally. Don't remember right now off the top of my head. So I go with the Fast Mag because it is an LMG. You don't have the option of sleight of hand, and it takes forever to reload. So I like running the Fast Mag, but you could run 125. I wouldn't recommend any of the other mags because then you hurt your ADS, and it is an LMG. If you don't want to run a mag at all, I would recommend running the Airborne Elastic or Serpent Wrap. You do get more benefits out of the Airborne Elastic, but the penalties are also stronger. So it's kind of a preference, but I would run one of those 2. If you're not comfortable with that, you could also go SAS Combat Stock or Raider Stock, depending on your preference. Number 2 is the DP27. This thing has been slept on. It was right there with the Bruin, or not the Bruin, the Bren, when the Bren was meta. It was right there, and I thought it was going to take over after, and it's just been kind of slept on, but it's been untouched by Raven Software pretty much. And it's really, really good, and people just don't use it. There's just been better options with the STG, the NZ, the Automaton, the Bren. There's just been slightly better options throughout, but this thing is still within the meta completely and completely slept on. It's the same build it's always been. MX silencer, 680 barrel, hand stop, 105 round pans, lengthened, your choice of optic, Empress VZV, hard stock on hand. The difference here is Hatched is now considered the meta recoil grip. Polymer is still good, but it is and it gives you more recoil control during sustained fire. But hatch grip gives you that flinch resistance that polymer gives you, while also just affecting overall recoil and not only during sustained fire. And hatch has become kind of the meta recoil control long range grip. Hard scope, you could do fleet if you wanted, especially because we don't run amped. You could run sleight of hand because it's an LMG, but why not get the extra recoil control? And then on hand for the ADS speed. And the best LMG is going to be the automatic, not the burst version of the UGM-8. I think that after the nerf that the burst is still viable, but I'm just never a fan of burst guns anyways, and the automatic full fire build doesn't really have any recoil anyways, and still has a really good time to kill. It's going to be the MX silencer, the 7.36mm barrel, the hand stop, the 125 round box, the lengthened ammo, your choice of optic, the Mercier WT Encre stock, the hatch grip now instead of polymer, but polymer also works. It's kind of a feel thing, as well as tight grip and on hand. You could run brace if that's better for the burst. You could run surveil if you don't find it has a lot of recoil, but I just like minimizing the recoil as much as possible. And you could also run gung-ho, but I don't think that's really useful on an LMG. And then on hand. Of course, you can run fully loaded with any of the Vanguard guns, but on hand is definitely the way to go, in my opinion. That's kind of the LMGs. We're going to move on to ARs now, and then, like I said, we'll go over to sim.gg. Number 5 is the STG. It's still actually one of the fastest killing ARs in the chest, but head, limbs, stomach, everywhere else, it struggles. And it did get a fairly significant nerf at the beginning of the season, but it's still definitely in the meta, top tier viable. If it wasn't for the NZ and the two or three top ARs on this list, this would probably still be number 1, even though I don't like it as what number 4 on the AR list is. And it's the same build, MX silencer, 7.60mm barrel, hand stop, Granco 50 round mag, lengthened, SVT 3 to 6 times or your choice of optic, hatch now instead of polymer, weighted stock like always. Vital does actually work a lot better now than it used to. So Vital, I have changed. It is a little bit worth it. But acrobatics is very good if you're playing aggressive. But Vital does really help that torso damage and the time to kill. Now, it used to not that much. And then on hand once again. Number 4, the only non-Vanguard gun on this AR list is the Vargo. The Vargo is still very much in the meta. It's one of the fastest killing guns on this list. They actually buffed the recoil again. They nerfed it last season. They rebuffed it again, and it's pretty much where it was before. And it's a very, very good gun. If it had less recoil, it might be number 1 on this list. But between that and not being able to have 10 attachments, it is down a little bit compared to the Vanguard guns. And it's the same build that you can buy on the Ferrofluid Blueprint and the exact same build that you would use on all Cold War ARs. Grew Suppressor, Task Force Barrel, Axial Arms 3 times, Spetsnaz 60 round, and Spetsnaz Grip. It's a build we've been familiar with forever with Vanguard or Cold War ARs. Number 3 is the BAR. I thought after the BAR got another buff, it would move up to number 1, but it's not quite enough to bring that TTK in line with the next 2 guns on this list. And it's got that slow rate of fire, which can be really unforgiving, but it does have like 0 recoil. And if it just had a slightly faster time to kill, it'd probably be number 1 on this list. But then the 40 round mag also hurts it along with that recoil. But same as always, MX silencer, 30-inch barrel, hand stop, 40 round mag, lengthened, your choice of optic, Chariot WR stock, hatched grip, hard scope, or acrobatic. If you don't find the recoil to be too much or you don't feel like you need the extra control, definitely go with acrobatic or sleight of hand because you do have the 40 round mag. But I just stick with hard scope because I like to eliminate the ADS as much as possible, and in a long range fight you will be in sustained ADS, so why not help the recoil? And then on hand, once again, like I mentioned with these Vanguard guns, run fully loaded if you prefer, but I will take any ADS benefit I can. Number 2 is the NZ. The NZ is no longer number 1. There's an argument for it being number 1 on the list, because it does ADS faster than what's number 1 on the list, but the time to kills are pretty much right in line, and this did get a slight recoil nerf. And it still does have a little more recoil. I don't think it moves at all, and it's easily arguable that this is number 1 on the list, but I have it as number 2. Once again, MX silencer, 360mm barrel, hand stop, 50 round mag. Even though I have seen some people talking about the 40 round mag, I still think the time to kills are close enough to where I'd rather have the 10 extra bullets. lengthened, now hatched or polymer, depending on how you feel. Optic is your choice. The LOR MK3 SC stock. I have seen a lot of people, they question, well, why don't you use the Orb Weaver? Between different streamers, YouTube videos, whatever. If you look at the stats on sim.gg, the MK3 SC stock actually does give you better overall recoil control. Plus, the Orb Weaver hurts movement speed, ADS at sprint to fire speed, whereas the MK3 SC only hurts movement speed. And then I have Acrobatic. You could do Brace, but this thing still doesn't really have a lot of recoil. Frenzy, but it's an AR, so you should be able to get back into cover. And then there's nothing else really worth it, so I end up moving with Acrobatic. I don't know why I accidentally moved that stock. And then on hand, you could go fully loaded. And the number one long-range option, I don't just think for ARs or LMGs, I just think this is the number one overall long-range option, is going to be the KGM40. It got a significant buff going into Season 4. And the time to kill is right in line with the NZ. And it's got even less recoil than the NZ after the NZ nerf. I have kills with this gun where I don't have to move my thumbstick other than left to right. But I don't move it up and down at all. And it just stays right on target. And you can't beat that. The NZ doesn't quite do that like it did. And so the KG just ends up being... It does ADS a little bit slower, but it's got really good bullet velocity. It's got a 60 round mag, and it kills like right in line with the NZ. And I did just make a video specifically on the KG, so if you want to see that, I'll have that link down below as well as my loadout video. So you can check that out. I made a refresher video essentially because my original video was trashing the KG, and the KG's gotten buffed a couple times since. And it's the same build that it's always been, except hatched instead of polymer. But it's MX silencer, 720mm shrouded, your choice of optic. The VDD 22G padded stock, hand stock, 60 round 8mm mag, not the 60 round 30-06 mag. Lengthened, hatched grip, tight grip, or acrobatic. Vital doesn't make as big of a difference here as it does on the STG. Once the gun drops off into its first drop off, the time to kill doesn't change. So it only increases the time to kill within like the 40-meter range, which... You're starting to get to where a lot of your gunfights are, but I'm more concerned with, I think it's 45 or 50, all the way up to 150. With this gun, 200 isn't unrealistic, 200-meter kills. Then I am concerned with the 20 meters to 40 meters, where this is going to be my primary option. Inside of 20 meters, I could have an SMG out and use an SMG. And so I'm more worried about 45 or 50 to infinity than I am 20 to 40, so I like to go with tight grip to really minimize the recoil. Acrobatic's always a good option too, so I'd go tight grip, acrobatic, or vital, but I'm not worried about that earlier range. If you're running this as a sniper support build, then yes, vital works. But otherwise, I'd go with tight grip. And then on hand again for the ADS. So those are my 10. That's my 10 long-range options, the 5 LMGs, 5 ARs. If you just wanted the loadouts, wanted to see what guns I chose, that's where this video ends for you. But if you're interested in comparing each of the 5 guns in each category, then stick around. I'm going to jump over to sim.gg right now. But if that's not for you, I definitely appreciate you watching. I do have those videos linked down below as well as my social media, so please feel free to visit those. But let's jump over to sim.gg. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start out looking at the LMGs. If you look, like I said, the Finn, really fast time to kill at range still, but you do run out of ammo, you do have the slow mobility, and that's what's really kept it out of the meta. It's like the AS Val has never been in meta because of the ammo. It's like how the Type 63 has Type 100, sorry, has a really good time to kill, but it runs out of ammo. The Armawera, its best time to kill was a 36 round mag when it came out, and it ran out of ammo, so it was never meta. People don't like running out of ammo. So that's why the Finn gets stuck higher on the list at number 4. If it had 150 rounds in that mag, it would be number 1, no question. The DP, it does fall off really hard and ends up being one of the worst on the list, but you get the 10 attachments, you have no recoil, and that's why it ends up being number 2. And at 900 milliseconds to infinite range, you're still within killable range. It's not as good as it was in comparison before, but it's still a really good option, and I still think it's the second best. Just because it's also got no recoil, whereas you get the PKM, which is right in the middle of the pack time to kill wise, but it's got the slow mobility, it's got the slow ADS, it's got the slow reload of the Modern Warfare guns, and so once again, it'd be another gun that I'd probably move up higher on the list, but it just has too many qualities where it doesn't match up. The MG82, second fastest time to kill on this list at range. A lot more recoil than all 4 other guns on this list. You don't get the 10 attachments, and so it's at that disadvantage again, where it ends up at number 3. You look at the UGM, it falls off hard, but it's got no recoil, and that's why the DP and the UGM end up at number 1 and number 2 on this list, because they have the 10 attachments. They have, like, no actual recoil. They got visual recoil, but they have, like, no actual recoil. Plus, they got better movement than Modern Warfare, and so you get 10 attachments, better movement, 0 recoil, and so they end up being 1 and 2 because you're more likely to hit your shots. In fact, if you scroll down, and I'm just not even going to mess with the numbers, the DP still falls off, but look at the UGM now, where you just go with the average time to kill, just sim.gg without me touching values. Look how much better it's beating out the PKM now. It's pretty much in line with the MG82 and the Fin because it's got like no recoil. And so because of that no recoil and the 10 attachments, that's why the DP and the UGM, despite them having the 2 slowest time to kill long range, end up at number 1 and number 2. Let's move over to the ARs now. The ARs, we have less gaps in between the times to kill, and they're a little bit closer. And if you look at just the KGM40, which is red here, it's right in the middle, but it's got 0 recoil. It's got less recoil than the NZ does now. It's got a 60-round mag. It's got 10 attachments, and that's why it ends up number 1. If you look at the STG, this is the chest shots with Vital on, and it's got a significantly faster time to kill, especially in this little range here once everything's dropped off, and it still hasn't. But then once it drops off, it's slower than the Vargo and the NZ, and it's slower than the KG at infinite range. And so I'm not that I wouldn't use it because, like I was speaking on Vital with the KG, I'm more worried about the range from here at 40 onwards than I am the 20 to 40, because you're really going to have, you know, your long range options out past 20 meters, and I'm more worried about 40 to infinity than I am 20 to 40. And so that's why the STG stays where it is. When you look at the Vargo's right in the middle of the pack until everything drops off, and then the Vargo's actually the fastest time to kill. Not by a lot, only 12 milliseconds over the NZ, 30 milliseconds over the KG at the chest, but it is the fastest time to kill. And when you go headshots, it's still right in the middle of the pack, and you can see the STG, Vital helps it, but once you get away from Vital, headshots, it's slowest time to kill by far at range. Neck shots, slowest time to kill by far. Arm shots, still the slowest time to kill. Lower limb shots, second slowest time to kill behind the bar. And this is also, you can see why the bar is not higher on the list, because when you go lower extremity, upper extremity, stomach, it's just not really competing. Chest, slowest time to kill. Why it's as high on the list? Headshots. Headshots make it extremely fast, but that's where the NZ and the NZ can also shine, as well as the Vargo, because the NZ doesn't drop off at all and the Vargo doesn't drop very far. But overall, the KG still ends up number 1. It's got the least amount of recoil on this list. It's got the 10 attachments. It's time to kill in the middle for the chest. Pretty close. It's the second worst at the head, but it's really close and has the least amount of recoil. Neck shots, it's right in the middle. Arm shots, everything's so close together, it's not that big of a deal, and it's not hugely different than the BAR. Lower extremities, same thing, except now the BR jumps way worse. And so it ends up sort of in the middle of the pack, but it kills right in line with the NZ, which we know is everybody's favorite right now, and has less recoil. It's got the 10 attachments, which the Vargo doesn't have. And so that's why I really think it's number 1. I mean, there's a lot of rambling. I feel like there's a lot of repeating myself. The one other thing to note is when you look at the KG, 1578 bullet velocity, way faster than the NZ, way faster than the BAR, faster than the NZ, and way faster than the SCG. So it also has the highest bullet velocity of all the ARs on this list. And that's why I think it's the best long-range option overall. Not just ARs, but overall. Better bullet velocity than all these ARs. 10 attachments. Literal 0 recoil. And it's really good. Definitely try it out if you can. But that's the 10 long-range options I got for you today. I will have short-range video coming. I'm debating on whether or not to do a sniper support video. If I do that, that'll probably be next week. Sniping's just not very popular right now. And sniper supports that were on my lists before were not really buffed or nerfed too much, so it's just something to think about. Don't know if I'll do that, but like I said, I will have My loadout video, my KG video, both linked down below, as well as sim.gg for you to check out all those resources and check stuff out for yourself. But that all being said, thank you for watching. I appreciate if you skipped around the video, you watched it all. I appreciate any watch time at all. But please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know when that SMG video comes out. If I do that sniper sport video, so you know when I have more videos coming out. And let me know down below what you think of my long range options. Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I dumb? Am I smart? Let me know what you think down below. And like I said, I'll link those videos in sim.gg in my description, as well as my social medias. I post almost daily on Instagram and TikTok. I don't really do too much on Twitter, but I am on Twitter all the time. And I am planning on starting my stream this month. I just got a few things to work out with that. So my Twitch is down below as well. Make sure you follow that. But I will see you on Caldera, Rebirth Island, and Fortune's Keep. Get frying. Have a good day. Bye.